Good morning. Welcome to my channel, the Thinking Person's Guide to Life. I'm Steve Mitchner. Today I want to talk quickly about a book by Bill Perkins. It's called Die with Zero. I just read this book. I want to share with you a couple of my thoughts about it. Who is Bill Perkins? Did some research on him. One internet source said that he has an estimated net worth of about $60 million. He made his money as a hedge fund manager. He's also a film producer. And this is significant, he plays professional poker. So, right off the bat, I'll tell you this. He's not saying in the book that the idea is that you want to die broke. But the concept is to not leave a lot of money on the table, to make sure that you're using your money as a tool to buy yourself experiences. And I think that's an excellent, bit of advice. We all want to have fulfilling retirements. You've worked hard for your money, you've accumulated it. Yeah, you want to enjoy it. You want to have what he calls memory dividends in those last, years of your life. So he's not really advocating that you die broke, but he's saying, try to be as close to zero as you can. And, he also says that you should spend your money while you're alive, donate it while you're alive, and give your money away to your kids and your heirs when you're alive, not waiting until you die. At one point, he says in the book that if you do that, if you go that traditional route that a lot of us do, we leave money in our wills to charities and to our families, he says you're not being charitable at all. I would disagree with that. It wouldn't be in your will if you weren't being charitable. But he makes the point that you really don't have an option once you die. Your money has to go somewhere. It's going to be taken away from you. Yes, that's true, because you won't be on this planet using that money. But I still think it's charitable. But here's some of the objections I have to this book. For most of us, and I don't know about you, what your financial situation is, but, probably most of us are middle class. We're wanting to have a middle class, comfortable retirement. I know I certainly do. That's what I'm striving for. I'm kind of in a state of semi-retirement right now. And so the idea of dying with no money, to me seems, or as close to zero as possible, to me seems like it's a bit of a gamble. It might work if you have multiple millions of dollars, but for most middle class folks who have maybe a few $100,000, maybe even $1 million, maybe $2 million, maybe even $3 million in the bank, you're middle class. $1 million today is not what it used to be. But if you're in that range, I don't know that the concepts in his book are necessarily too sound. Again, you got multiple millions of dollars, might be a different story. But not if you're just a middle class person. I think that it's wise to have some money in the bank. But he talks about a couple of different things, hedges against running out of money. And one thing he talks about is an annuity. Buy an annuity. Well, a few years back, the brokerage where my money is, I got contacted by one of their financial advisors who wanted to sell me an annuity. And after 3 hours of 3 different meetings, she made her pitch. And, yeah, it was very nice. It seemed appealing at the time. But basically, for myself, I decided that, no, I think I'd be better off keeping that money in my own account and keeping it invested and letting it continue to grow. Because as they say, typically, if your money's invested in an S&P 500 index fund, it can double every 7 to 10 years. At least historically, that's what they've talked about the average being. That's been my experience. So as I thought about it, I thought, I don't really want to get an annuity, because it seemed like, I'd have to turn over an awful large portion of my portfolio at the time to get this guarantee, which would only last, I think it was like 20 years. And at the end of 20 years in this particular product, you were done getting your money back. So it was inflation protected, but no, I didn't want to give up my money to get that product. The other hedge that Bill Perkins talks about against running out of money is the idea of getting long-term care insurance. Again, that can be a very expensive premium, and there can be a lot of exclusions and limitations when it comes time to actually use your long-term care insurance, which you've paid into for so long. Myself, when my dad was at the end of his life and we tried to put a claim in for long-term care insurance, he got denied. And the unfortunate thing is that within a couple of weeks after being denied, he actually died. But the insurance company denied his long-term care insurance. So, in my opinion, long-term care insurance is just a very expensive product, and you'd be much better served if you had a nest egg that was still growing that you could call upon for your long-term care insurance. At the time that we were looking for a place for my dad, towards the end of his life, he was 89 years old, had lived in his own home all those years, and we started to look at some rather nice places. And at the time, there was a couple of these different places that would require you to put down like $500,000 to buy into the place. But once you died, your $500,000 would be returned to your estate. And these places offered a continuum of care, everything from independent living to assisted living to nursing home care. So, in my opinion, I think that's a little bit of a safer and less costly way to go, because that way, yes, your estate does get that money back. But again, if you're a person that has multiple millions of dollars, like Bill Perkins, well then yeah, buying an annuity, buying long-term care insurance is nothing. It doesn't cost a whole lot when you've got that kind of money. But if you got middle class kind of money, maybe it costs a little bit too much, and maybe it's not necessarily the best investment. So those are a couple of the major objections that I have to this book. Again, as I said at the beginning, I think there's some good ideas in there, but retirement is not a poker game. We're not gambling with our money in retirement. You want to make sure that you're going to have enough to get through your entire life. And unfortunately, none of us knows exactly how long that might be. But I do think, if you're anticipating, if you're in your mid 60s and you're thinking about a 30-year retirement like I'm doing, that's going to help me to kind of plan how much money I want to have, and letting my money continue to grow, while at the same time also giving myself, some life experiences here in the go-go years, in the early semi-retirement years that I'm in. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've read this book, let me know what you think. And if you wouldn't mind giving a like or a thumbs up to my video, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks very much.